Hello everyone, we are from Pavitra Astrology Center. So in this video we'll talk a little bit about Rahu Dasha and what kind of benefits Rahu Dasha would give to the native and what kind of a planetary positions you need to have to get these benefits. Rahu and Ketu are actually not planets. So how does one can kind of analyze what kind of benefits one would get during the Rahu Dasha? As I've said in my previous videos, there are two teams in these solar systems. One under Jupiter, which includes Sun, Mars, and Ketu, and the other one under Venus, which includes Saturn and Mercury and Rahu. So Moon doesn't belong to either one of these teams since it rapidly transits all the rasis. It keeps changing between Jupiter and the Venus teams. So Rahu, primarily belonging to the Venus team, gives more benefits in its dasha to six ascendants. So two ascendants which belongs to Saturn, two ascendants which belongs to Venus, and two ascendants which belongs to Mercury. So among all these ascendants, in my opinion, I think the Mercury ascendant people are the most luckiest because Rahu considers Mercury as one of its closest friend, and I have seen many people who have just gone to the peak of their career in Rahu Dasha, especially when they belong to these ascendants. So just because let's say one gets Rahu Dasha doesn't mean that they would have an amazing career growth. So you need to have Rahu in a very good placement. You need to have good planetary combinations with respect to Rahu, and of course Rahu should be in a good in the nakshatra of a good planet. So it should not be in the nakshatra of, let's say, 8th, 6th or 12th lord. So in this video we'll just kind of analyze with an example chart. I'll just explain what this person went through in this Rahu Dasha. Uh, these kinds of, the general rules is kind of applicable to all the ascendants. Rahu, even though he belongs to, let's say, the Venus team, I have seen Rahu giving excellent results to almost all the ascendants. And whenever Rahu is conjunct with a natural benefic, let's say Jupiter or Venus, it tends to amplify its good things. So in this video, let's just talk about this chart. He was born in a Capricorn ascendant. He has Saturn in his second house, Moon in Aries, Moon in fourth house, Rahu and Jupiter in fifth house, Sun in the seventh house, Venus and Mercury in 8th house, Mars in the 9th house, and Ketu in the 11th house. So he was born in Bharini Nakshatra, Pada 1, which means that he would be having the Venus Dasha when he's born. So let's first analyze the horoscope. Is this horoscope good? Of course. The main reason being, just look at the ascendant lord. So the ascendant lord Saturn is in his own house in Kumbha, and most importantly, the Saturn is actually being aspected by Venus and Mars. Saturn is in the second house. It's Venus and Mercury. Venus and Mercury is in the 8th house, and you see that they just diagonally aspect each other. And most importantly, you just don't have any connection to either Mars or Jupiter or Sun. What it means that the two teams, as I said, the Jupiter team and Venus team, they just don't, they're not connected with each other. This is one of the beautiful placement, and in fact, almost 95% of the horoscopes would have these planets mixed with each other, but the remaining 5% would be lucky enough to have these kinds of, planetary positions and conjunctions. And it's not only the Saturn team. I mean, the 12 houses represents the ownership to planets from both the teams. Just like the the Venus team, if you look at the Jupiter's team, even there you would see that the Jupiter is aspecting Mars, which is excellent, and Mars is actually aspecting Moon. This is also fantastic. And in no way, as I said before, Mars is aspecting Saturn or its enemies such as Mercury. This is one of the very rare planetary combinations to get. Obviously, I mean, Mars being in ninth house, and especially in its enemy house, it might give some bad results during its dasha. But overall, the fundamental of the horoscope is very strong. So some people might be getting excellent dashas, but let's say the ascendant lord might not be in a good position, and the planets would be mixed between both the teams, and they would not be able to enjoy the full benefits the planet is willing to give them. But in this chart, the two planets are excellently positioned. I mean, they didn't mix with each other, and most importantly, the hero of this chart is Rahu. So Rahu is in fifth house. Rahu is actually in the house of Venus, and most importantly, the house where Rahu sits in, the owner Venus, is actually in Kendra, in fourth house from Rahu, and the most auspicious planet for this Taurus ascendant is actually Saturn and Mercury. So when you actually just take Rahu as the Lagna, you will see that both Venus and Mercury as well as Saturn is in actually 4 and 10th from Rahu. This is excellent actually. You just don't want Rahu in 5th house and Venus and Mercury in, let's say, 3rd or in any other positions. You just want the ownership the planet which owns the Rahu to be in either in a quadrant or a trine from Rahu. That's actually very important in order to in order for the Rahu Dasha to give very good results. So this person was born in Venus Dasha, Sun Dasha went, and in Moon Dasha, he actually, at the end of the Moon Dasha, this person actually gets married. So the 7th Lord Moon is in 4th house. This is actually not a good placement. I mean, this is something what we call it as a Kendradipati dosha. So whenever a natural benefic becomes the owner of 7th house, and if he is placed in another Kendra, 1, 4, 7, 10, it's what we call it as a Kendradipati dosha. But one of the exception is, as I said before, Mars is aspecting Moon. So what it means is this person is kind of, he doesn't see the ill effects from the Kendradipati dosha. This is good. So at the end of Moon Dasha, this person actually gets married, and then he starts his career in a different city, and then he starts its Mars Dasha from 1996 to 2003. So Mars is actually the Pataka Lord. He's in 9th house, and he's actually in the nakshatra of Moon. So since he was in the nakshatra of Moon, that gave him a relocation, and he had a decent growth in the Mars Dasha. So the nakshatra of Moon is the 7th Lord, and if you just look into the 10th house, he's actually the 10th Lord. For the receive only for the ascendant, he's a 7th Lord, but if you just look into the 10th house, he's actually a good planet, and he is actually in the 4th house. So Mars being in the nakshatra of Moon, it gave him a decent growth in his career, and then comes the Rahu Dasha. In my opinion, one of the fantastic periods, 2003 to 2021, 18 years of Rahu Dasha. Even the Rahu is also in the nakshatra of Moon. So Rahu is actually in the nakshatra of, he's in actually the Rohini nakshatra, Pada 3. And in Rahu Dasha, it gave him an amazing growth in his career. In fact, he even completes his higher education in Rahu Dasha. I mean, he was able to get properties, new vehicles, new homes, and and he even become a senior general manager in one of a bigger automobile companies. So this all came in Rahu Dasha. I mean, this is what we call it as a very lucky chart. It's not that just the placements which matters. It's also that One person could be having many yogash, and but he'd not be getting a good dashas in his lifetime. But right, exactly around 36, 38 years of age, this person gets the Rahu Dasha, and which just, brings him to the peak of his career. So even though the Venus is actually in the 8th house, we don't have to consider here that the 5th and the 9th lord, the 5th lord Venus and 9th lord Mercury is in 8th house. So even though 8th is malefic to the ascendant, but when you actually try to analyze dashas of Rahu and Ketu, you have to just assume that Rahu as the ascendant, and you have to make sure the favorable planets for that ascendant, favorable planets for that ascendant is actually aspecting Rahu, or either they are in a quadrant or a trine from Rahu. That's the main rule actually. And we should also be looking into the nakshatra in which the Rahu sits. So next, once the Rahu Dasha completes, this person would be seeing the Jupiter Dasha. Jupiter Dasha is, it won't be giving as much as a growth similar to Rahu, but it's fine. The Jupiter's nakshatra, Jupiter is actually the nakshatra of Mars, and Mars is also in the enemy sign, and since it denotes the 9th house, so in Jupiter Dasha, this person may be having another relocation, lots of travel, because Jupiter is the 3rd and the 12th law. So this is just one example, and I've seen many people having amazing growth. So even the let's say let it be any stream. It doesn't have to be in a particular industry. So he could be even a teacher, he could be even a politician. Rahu Dasha tends to give excellent growth. Even the natural benefits such as Jupiter and Mars would not be, sometimes they used to create chaos to the person, but Rahu and Ketu, they almost 95% of the horoscopes, they give some lucky chances to utilize and grow in their respective positions, respective careers. Okay friends, so if you have any questions, please do type in the comments. If you are new to this channel, please do subscribe, and if you like this video, please share it with your friends, and that's it. Thank you.